Hey everyone, what's going on? It's Dr. Mondo. It is office hours. It's Thursday, depending on what time zone it is. It's either 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock, or 7 o'clock. But we are coming at you live here on the West Coast. I'm just ending. I'm not sure if you guys knew this, but usually on Thursdays when I do office hours, I'm actually ending my time here in the office where I see clients, and so it's kind of a big moment for me where I get to just reflect on the week and then take your guys' questions, and then after that I head home, and then Friday for me is a day where I work exclusively with my team on the Dr. Mondo stuff that you guys see throughout the week, and so anyway, it's a wind down to my practice day. So, but it's truly office hours because I'm at my office right now and I'm getting ready to leave after we have this time with you guys. So anyway, it's exciting to be back. I want to, tonight we have a special office hours, and we're rolling out a new format in how we do office hours from time to time. And what we found is that on Tuesdays we have lots of good success when we have guests on, and it seems to be really interactive. And many of you log in and ask amazing questions. We've had roughly 4,000 to 5,000 people watching each week, which is just amazing, just amazing. But I think it speaks so much to the fact that everyone's really yearning to have these sort of conversations about transformation and about the stories behind the before and after photos and about emotional eating and comfort eating and body image and all the struggles that many of us are very aware of, but we're not really finding many spaces to talk about. So we have a lot of people tuning in on Tuesday night for the broadcast where I interview people about their transformation stories. And then on Thursday, we have this broadcast where we take your questions, and it's just dedicated to you. But what we found is that usually for office hours, it's been helpful if we can have someone that I'm also that's joining me, guest or multiple guests, that can facilitate some of the discussion and move it along. So tonight we're gonna have that. We're gonna have a couple special guests that I'm really excited to have me join on screen in a few minutes here. And we're gonna not just have guests, but we're also gonna have a topic. So the way that office hours works today is that we have a topic set aside, and that topic is going to guide our discussion. And if any of you have comments, reaction, please, by all means, share, comment, react. And if you have additional questions which are totally off topic, that's okay, because we can handle that, and we will take your questions as we go through this broadcast. So as we got prepared for tonight with my guests, we were thinking about, what is a topic that seems to kind of come up a lot that a lot of people can relate to. And one of the things that seems to come up a lot is change, in part because life is full of change, in part because change is something that also I think is really particularly on topic when it comes to health transformations. So many people have said to me, I was doing so good until fill in the blank, this change happened. And it could be there was a change at work, there was a change at home. I went on vacation. How many people can relate to that? I went on vacation. That's one for me that for years and years and years, it wasn't until recently that I really found a way to kind of in a sense get ahead of that change. So many times I'd go on vacation and that change was enough to throw me off my gym routine, throw me off my healthy eating routine. So change is something that for a lot of us can get us off track, not just temporarily, but in some cases for months on end. And the topic that we want to talk about tonight is not just change, but how does it impact our health transformations? And I want to help explain to you guys from a perspective of a therapist why it is that so many of us are struggling with change and adjusting to it, and how it can impact the food choices we make, how it can impact our self-care routines, how it can impact us getting into the gym, all of that and then some. So again, I want to thank everyone for joining us here. And if you guys have comments or questions as we get going tonight on the broadcast, feel free to just chime in. I'll be keeping an eye on those, and we will incorporate those as we go through tonight. So as many of you are familiar with my program, Rewriting My Story, and I say program, we have a television program that we're doing. We have an online program. and we have these office hours. But rewriting my story as an online program where you're able to go through video lessons and you're able to really dive into changing your relationship with food and rewriting your story. That program is offered right now at drmondo.org, but we have some gyms around the country that have shown a particular interest in wanting to help their members, not just with their weight loss transformation, but wanting to help them with the emotional side of the transformation. And for those few gyms that we have around the country, we've been pretty selective about the ones that we have taken on to really partner and team up with. For those gyms, it's really a mission for them to offer the whole package, not just the nutrition and the exercise, but also the emotional support. And with that comes a chance for me to work with different gyms and hear lots of stories throughout the country. And tonight, I thought what would be really cool would be to have one of those gym owners on, and also to have one of his members join him, because I think that if we're talking about change and we're talking about how change can throw us off, there's certainly a gym owners out there, and gym staff have seen that a lot with their members. They see that how common that is. And then also, if you're a member of a gym, which so many of you guys are, it doesn't matter if you're a member of this gym that we're going to be featuring tonight or others around the country, that you know that you've been in the gym and you've been on that side of things, just like I have, where change occurred and it totally threw you off. So tonight, I want to help you get to the bottom of understanding why it is that change can be so powerful, why it feels like it can throw you off, and also give you guys some helpful tools and some tips on how to get back on track, and we'll talk all about that here tonight. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get ready to bring my guest on air, and the first guest that I'm going to bring on is the gym owner himself, and the gym owner is Shelton Matsey. And Shelton, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Dr. Mondo. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Yeah. How
Thanks for having me.
I hear the weather out in Chicago this time of year changes. It's a little different than when I came out back in February. Is that true?
Yeah, it definitely is different. Right now I'm in Louisville, so I'm here for a meeting,
That's
but
right.
right now it was close to 100 last few days, so
Really close to
uh,
100. Wow.
yeah, and humid. So it was we had a nice little beach workout with our members last weekend, and it was we need to jump in the water afterwards because it was a hot one. So
Yeah, that's what I hear. I hear the summertime in Chicago is something we're seeing, and so I'm
oh, it's
excited to
beautiful. It's definitely
check that
beautiful.
out. Yeah, soon enough. We're talking about change tonight, and just tell people more about your gym and where your gym's based out of, and give a shout out to your gym community right now, if you could, real quick.
Okay, awesome. My gym is named Fit Code. We're located in the Chicagoland area, four main locations in the South Chicagoland area and one in Northwest Indiana. And we're just focused on helping people transform, helping them become better versions of themselves, and doing that through nutrition, mindset, and of course, personal, small group and large group personal training, and just really help people get from point A to point B and being um, that conduit for that. So
Cool, man. I didn't know you had the one in Indiana. You've had that other gym for a while?
it's coming up on a year pretty soon. So that one's our newest
Awesome.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, you guys are expanding. I had a chance to go out to Fit Code in February. And the only unfortunate part about that is that Shelton and I never got a chance. We still haven't even met
Yeah.
in
No.
person, man. So that's long overdue. But I had a chance to come out and visit your gym, and just
hmm
amazing environment, really awesome. And I know tonight what you wanted to do is really, we're going to start this series. In fact, where we do more regular office hours, where I have you join me. And part of what I want to do is I want you to start taking me inside the gym and helping me understand what are some things you're hearing from some members. And so tonight, we're going to invite one of your members on. Her name's Jeannie. And before I bring her on camera now, and to join us in the discussion, tell me a little bit more about Jeannie from your perspective.
Oh, Jeannie is an amazing member. We have so many amazing members, and she is a great part of our community. She is, you talk about someone who's driven, knows what they want. Um, she is one of those members. She recently completed our 6 week challenge. And she did 5 challenges in a row in less than a year, has lost, shed over 100 pounds release
Oh
that.
my
So,
gosh.
um,
Wow.
so our fastest person to 100 pounds, and that just kind of shows the type of mindset and dedication that she has. She brings that every day. She comes and works out with me few times that I coach in strength, and she is focused when she is in and always trying to get better. And that's what I love when someone is always pushing to that next level to try to get just a little bit better, and asking those questions like, how do I, take this from this level to this level? And that is Jenny. She is the definition of that. Just how do I get better? And it's not an obsessive thing. It's just how do I take that next smart approach for myself? And that's what I love about her.
Isn't that such a common denominator? We'll get her on. I want to hear more. This story sounds awesome, but isn't that just a common denominator in all of life? Like people who are successful are always open and asking that question, right? Like, how can I get better?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Definitely,
yeah.
definitely.
I think we see that in weight loss. We see that in transformation. Overcoming addiction, over personal growth, whatever it may be. But
Business, yep.
there is this openness, and you have to kind of be willing to ask that. What can I do to be better? So I'm excited to meet her. So I'm gonna go ahead and invite Jeannie onto the broadcast. If you guys are just now joining us, it's office hours. We're talking about change. We're talking with Shelton, and Shelton has a gym out in Chicago. In fact, he also has one in Indiana. He's got 4 gyms total. And we're here with one of his members that is had an amazing transformation story. So, Jeannie, thank you for joining us. How
Hi.
are you? It looks like are you in transit right now, or are you driving and are you on the move, or you're pulled
No,
over?
I'm not driving. I am actually in my car, but I'm waiting to go into a meeting, so not driving though.
What a perfect way to spend your time before a meeting, right? Just doing a quick Facebook Live. Look
Exactly.
at you. Yeah. Yeah. What's it like to hear someone tell your story? I'm curious like that. I'm sure you heard Shelton just kind of give a breakdown of how he sees you and some of your accomplishments. What's that like for you to hear that?
I feel a little embarrassed, a little makes me feel a little shy,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
good also, proud, very proud. Um, and actually makes me feel a little bit more driven. So makes me want to
More
work
drip.
even a little bit harder.
Wow. That's cool. So yeah, I think the part of it's probably still new. So recap again. You've lost, and again on this program, it's not all about the weight loss. In fact, it's about so much more what you're gaining in your
Hmm.
life. But I think people often, they're drawn in by hearing that. So how much weight have you lost, and how long has it taken you to go through that transformation?
I lost 108, and it took me about 9 months.
9 months. Wow. So that's a lot of weight in what I would consider to be a pretty short amount of time. Has life changed? I know the topic has changed, but has life changed in a lot of ways for you since you lost the weight?
For sure. Yeah. Just more energy, doing a lot more stuff with my kids, with my husband. A lot of times I would just be sitting around watching TV. I haven't even watched TV in months. I couldn't even tell you the last time because
Wow.
I
Hmm.
feel like I just don't have time anymore. I just feel like I'm busy. I always want to be doing something. I want to be active. I want to be moving. I was sedentary for so long the last couple of years before I started at Fit Code that I just don't want to get to that point again.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Shelton, you've seen Jeannie. Do you remember when she first came in, like the first month or so, the first couple months versus where she's at now? Like, what do you see that's different?
So I wasn't really training Jeannie in the beginning. I have recently started training her. I've definitely seen in terms of, from a distance in terms of her journey because she came in with some other people who've had some like her little family crew, like they're an amazing group, and they just are so supportive of one another and supportive of everyone in the community as well. And Jeannie has been great with that, supporting everyone through her journey. And I think that's been a great part of her journey as well, because when you're supporting others, it helps you as well. And just kind of seeing that and seeing her confidence grow through that as well as she's moved on, like her confidence in her ability to continue to be successful. So,
Yeah, so you've seen that confidence kind of come out. I'm sure, like in many ways. Would you say you're more confident now today, Jeannie, than you were 9 months ago?
I'm sorry, that I'm what?
Would you say that you're more confident now today than you were maybe when you started the journey 9 months ago?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm things that I didn't normally do or wouldn't do before, I'm doing now. Even some talking to people, engaging people in a conversation, starting a conversation. I had such bad self-esteem and felt so bad about myself that I wouldn't do those things. Even something as simple as coworkers in my building, I didn't even speak with them until I felt more comfortable with myself. It's just intimidating.
Yeah,
So yeah, definitely much more confident.
much more confidence. When we talk about on this broadcast, rewriting your story, that's exactly what we're talking about. That's, you've done more than just lose weight. You've rewritten your story about how you show up in the world, it sounds like.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, that is so awesome. And I have to fight my natural urge because I know we have limited time with you. You got to get into your meeting and we have some limited time, but my urge would be to just continue to hear more because I'm always fascinated by change and what an amazing transformation you've had. But I know the topic of tonight is something that you helped us choose. That when we talked about doing this office hours, we talked about what are some relevant topics that you've experienced that we could talk about that we know others could relate to. So, tell me more tell me more about change. Like how has change showed up in your life, and has it threatened to throw you off your journey at all recently or in the past?
So it's definitely thrown me off in the past. Actually, Shelton, the first time we met, you asked me what my why was and what my goal was, which is something Shelton is always asking people. Um, and I told him that I was pretty good at losing weight. I've just never been able to keep it off. So in the past, I've lost weight before, never this much, like 50 pounds, and I've always gained it back. And it always happened around something in my life changing, whether it be my husband's shift at work or, a different change in my kid's schedule, something like that. So that's how change has affected me in the past. But currently, interestingly enough, I'm a teacher. So
Mm.
I was on summer break. And the first week I was on summer break was okay. But then this week I started teaching summer school. So my schedule has switched. Things are changing. And I've noticed that I've been eating a lot differently. So, and not in a good way. So, I'm still really good about going to the gym. I don't miss that. I was going to change the time that I go because I work out at either 5 in the morning or 5:15, since I don't have to be at school or at school so early. But I'm trying because I know that it's going to affect me because it's already affecting my eating. So I don't want it. I don't want to change the workout because I'm afraid of the effects of that. Does that make
So
sense?
yeah. What I hear you saying, and all of you guys that are viewing right now, if you resonate at all with what Jeannie's sharing about change and how that can throw you off, can you just throw us a wow, a like, or something on the camera to let us know that you got a pulse over there, and if you can relate to specifics of what she just said, like you've had change in your life and it threw you off in your health journey and you've experienced that, comment below and tell us more about that. But really what I hear you saying, Jeannie, is you've had such success right now in your transformation, but you also have this awareness that, yeah, like when change happens, that tends to throw you off. And here you have this change going on with the summer break in school. And yeah, this is an opportunity where it would be really easy to kind of like go back the other direction. So one thing I want to say that for all of you, what Jeannie's doing, if we just step back from this, is insight is incredibly important. If you're not reflecting on your patterns of behavior, chances are you're repeating your patterns of behavior and you're locked into them without even knowing. So it's really good, Jeannie, that you know that that's a pattern of behavior. Now, the thing I think that's going to be the way out for not just Jeannie, but for all of us is to reflect on there's some emotion that change brings out. For some of us, and I always say, I was actually saying this earlier to a client, for some people, change is exciting. Like My wife wants to eat something new every day. I want to eat the same thing every day. If it were up to me, and most times I do, whether, it's healthy or unhealthy. My brain likes patterns, but for some of us, change can make us feel overwhelmed and make us feel scared, make us feel anxious. So the question really becomes, not just for Jeannie, but for all of us out there, if we know that change has been something we've struggled with, let's have insight about that, but let's also reflect on what emotion does that bring up. Do you have a sense at all, Jeannie, of what kind of feelings or emotions that change tends to bring up for you, like even right now?
I think it just depends on what the change is. Like right now, actually, I think it's kind of, I'm getting bored. Um, I'm home a lot more because I'm not at school all day. Um, you know, there's there's some stressful things going on right now, so it's a little bit of stress, and but I think most of it is tending that I'm bored.
Yeah.
Um,
So it leaves you with more time that's like where you have free time, and that used to be time that was occupied, but now it's just feeling like you feel like you're bored in those
yeah,
moments that you have freed up.
yeah, and in a sense, I guess in the last couple days, maybe week, what I've been doing is eating, and then it's just kind of like a spiral. It's then it's a sadness, and and then it's angry. You get upset. I get upset with myself. So it's kind of like what's been happening in the last week. So I feel like this couldn't have come at a more perfect time, actually making me talk about it instead of just hiding it.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that automatically I can tell you that, like, I have someone here. I'm going to show her comment on the screen. Maureen said, I definitely can relate. My daughter's schedule between the school year and the summer schedule have changed. I've also changed jobs, or my daily schedule hours have changed, and it's definitely thrown me off. So again, here's someone relating to, even just the changes that happen with the school year and summer. Um, and again, I think the hardest thing for us to do is to take a step back and realize it. So you realize it, and then you ask, well, what am I feeling? And like you said, maybe I'm feeling bored. Um, I'll challenge that a bit, in a positive way. Like, do you think that there's more, like, if bored was the first layer of how you were feeling, below that, is there some of those things I mentioned, like maybe a little bit of anxiety, or a little bit of like tension, or just, yeah, like disconnect? Or what do you think's below the boredom for you?
Yeah, I'd say definitely a little bit of anxiety. You know, lots of stuff going on that just sometimes feels out of your control, out of my control. A lot of expenses right now,
Yeah.
stuff, just stuff like that makes
Yeah.
me very anxious.
Yeah. So the question then I would go to next, and guys, I'm going through this because I'm hoping that you're noticing this process. I'm going to leave Jeannie with some stuff to be able to ponder, outside of today, but I want you guys to be pondering that too. And if there's things that's coming up for you, feel free to share it. But the question is, if change is often difficult for us, what's the backstory with change? And if change is making us feel anxious now, has it made us feel anxious in the past? Like, one thing for me, Jeannie, and Shelton, feel free to jump in too. Like, I know for me that change has always been, as I mentioned, an obstacle and a barrier. And even though I know it, I don't know if I'll ever get fully, like, comfortable or in love with change. But part of that, of me understanding my backstory, is growing up. There was some traumatic things that happened with my dad leaving when I was young and things like that. And I think what ended up happening is that a lot of times I associated change with kind of like it being chaotic or traumatic. Even as I got older, and even as I became an adult, and then everything was fine, it still kind of threw me off. So I don't know, and maybe that's something you can ponder. But what's the story between you and change, and has it always been particularly scary or anxiety provoking?
Yeah, I guess I really don't know like a specific story like you have, but I mean, I feel like it's definitely always been something that's affected me.
Yeah, yeah, and even if you knowing the story is a bonus, but it's not the key. The key is just being aware about it and knowing, okay, on the whole, when change happens, it tends to throw me off and I get anxious. So now it becomes it's really a matter of managing anxiety. So would when you find yourself eating, would you say that anxiety in the moment that you're eating, not afterwards, but in the moment that you're eating for the boredom or for the anxiety, do you feel like the anxiety increases, decreases, or stays the same?
It increases.
It
The
increases.
yeah.
Why is that? Yeah.
Well, because that with myself, and I get, upset that I'm doing it, that I feel like thinking in my head, like, here you go again. You're falling right back in. And then I always go back in my head, like, but I still have the working out. But I know that's not enough. Like, um, I just as soon as I start eating, it's sad, and then it's mad at myself, and why are you doing this? It's just such a vicious cycle. I don't know. It makes me feel a little crazy.
I'm nodding because I get it, and if
Hmm.
yeah, if you're definitely not crazy, because I was gonna say if you are crazy, that means I'm crazy and we're all crazy because so
Hmm.
many thousands of millions of us can relate to it. I think that I mean there's got to be at least a temporary moment. Like some people say that when I eat, when I'm anxious or bored, that it allows me to escape my worries for a minute, or allows me to feel numb to the anxiety or the pain or the fear, or allows me to escape whatever it is that I'm not comfortable with. Does any of that relate to you? Like even if it's the 2 minutes that you're eating, or is the entire time you're feeling like the anxiety just goes up with eating, you just can't help it?
No, I don't think I ever feel like that. I just maybe in the very beginning, like,
Hmm.
but yeah.
Yeah, but overall, it sounds like for you, it's like it's almost like, why am I doing it? Like you've made the decision that you don't want to eat and use food that way, but that you just keep finding yourself responding to change that way, right?
Hmm. For sure.
Yeah, and then you beat yourself up, and then do you not? But you're still sticking with the gym, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was kind of weird too, because at the group I work out with, it seems like it's mostly teachers. And my girlfriend that I started this journey on day one, she's not teaching summer school, so she's going a little later. And, so that's even been a little bit of a change, except for the classes I do with Shelton, because that one hasn't really changed. It's still the same people there. But, on those other days, it's harder to get up and go, because before I knew someone was waiting for me to pick them up. We drove together. So I've still been going, but even that change has, I've been fighting it, I guess I could say, a couple days a week, because it is harder to go when those people that you work out with every day, or have worked out with every day for the last almost a year now, um, aren't going to be there. So yeah, but that's not been as bad as the food. That one I've still been doing the gym. It's just it has been rough.
Yes. Someone said below something about let's see if I can find it about find your tribe, and I'll put that on the screen real quick. Liz Franz said, "Find your tribe," hashtag, and I just want to point that out too. Like when change equals for some of us, when change means that you're not seeing the same people that you see every day, I think what happens honestly is that sometimes we go, well, I'm an adult, so like that doesn't really bum me out. But the reality is it does. Like we're creatures of habit, we're creatures that like to be connected. And if we have a tribe of people that we're working out with, and it's almost, it's kind of disappointing to not have those same people to look forward to spending time with. At least for me, it is that way.
Hmm.
Yeah, because I will say, like, that's one thing I love most about Fit Code is it's really like, it is like a big, huge family. And you'll see, like, if you go to a class you don't normally go to, there's a little family there. And then there's a little family in this class. But then, like you mentioned, the workout at the beach, everyone comes together and it is a big family. So that's super cool that's a super cool aspect of this gym. I mean, it's really one of the things I love most about it. So like that person said, find your tribe. Like I feel like I do have my tribe there, but because of them being teachers and all that, that tribe is kind of like dispersed a little bit until September. So
And does that tribe still stay in touch at all throughout like text messages or stuff like that, or no? Are you guys kind of
there's
still?
there's a couple of the people in that from that class that I will hang out with and definitely text and see on a weekly basis. You know, um, so I do get to see them. So that that's definitely cool. But yeah, sometimes when you work out, you just there's a lot of things we do with partners and groups, and you just get used to it, and change isn't always great. I guess
Yeah,
so.
it isn't, and I think that's kind of what we're talking about. This is one thing that's really unique and cool, though, and I think you're kind of highlighting this is that that it's like you said, it's good timing that we're talking about it right now on this Facebook Live because it's coming up for you. And I mean, how often in the past would you be acknowledging that change is difficult and talking about it like you are, or talking about it with the owner of your gym? Like, I imagine that's probably not like the most common response to change throwing you off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Not something I would talk about with really anybody, actually. So
so I want to point that out is that, one of the most powerful things, and Shelton, I want you to weigh in on this, but one of the most powerful things that you can do when you know that you're starting to kind of fall into old behavior patterns is simply just to kind of raise your hand in your community and reach out and say, hey, I'm noticing I'm doing this. Now, if you do nothing more than just take that vulnerability and that courage and step out and start talking about it, I guarantee that you'll find more solutions in community than you will outside of community and isolation. Those behavior patterns of the eating and staying away and all of that only intensifies when we're isolated. So I want to commend you just already today. You're doing something by talking about it. It's really cool that you are. And Shelton, I think it's probably pretty cool too, because so many times, you would have folks like Jeannie that would probably experience this in your gym, but they would never talk to you about it. So what's it like for you to be able to hear Jeannie open up about that? That's something that's probably such a common experience.
I think it's very common. Actually, we kind of had a similar conversation with some of our team members earlier in the week, and sometimes, as you mentioned, we let that shame get the most of us, and we kind of
Yeah.
go and hide, as opposed to coming out and saying, like you said, raising your hand and saying, "Hey, right now is a time of a place where I'm feeling vulnerable. I feel like things aren't necessarily going the way I would like them to, and I need a little bit of help." And just raising your hand to ask for that can, number one, sparks more awareness in yourself, I believe, and then also you'll get that community,
Yes.
you get that feel from everyone else, you get potential solutions and support, which is so very key. That support piece is a key component that can help us um, move forward. And so I think that's very, very key. And like you said, I want to commend Jeannie on that. Just being able to raise his hand and say, hey, I'm in a spot where I could need a little more support, because a lot of people don't, and then um, so that becomes a little bit of a challenge. So
I have people right now, Jeannie, you may not be able to see this, but just to add to what Sheldon's saying, there's people that are throwing likes and loves and they're saying, I'm so proud of you. That's where I'm at too. So that's what's so powerful about you sharing your experience with change and how it's been tough is that it's
hmm
just opening up for other people. So
yes,
hopefully one of the things that you'll walk away with is knowing that you're really courageous just for saying something and keep doing that. Number two is that you're not all alone, and sometimes we like to just to know that it's empowering to know that other people are also struggling with something that we can relate to or that they can relate to. So you're not all alone. And yeah, I think too, the other part of it is that, just figuring out and being open to reflection of what is it that's throwing me off right now, and trying to, like I said, spend some time with that question of what's my backstory with change. I do think the more you know it, the more you have compassion for yourself. It might not change that you still want to use food to kind of like come in and provide a distraction or a comfort, but it will at least allow you to understand more of why you do what you do. Like owning your story allows you to do that. It gives you compassion for that. And the other thing I want to encourage you to do, and this encouragement is not just for Jeannie, it's for all of you out there. So like we're talking about, what do we do in response to change? When we find that we're getting back into problematic behavior patterns with eating or not going to the gym and working out, we got to talk about it. We got to get in community and be vulnerable like Jeannie is today. We have to reflect on ourselves, and we have to ask questions like, just observe, what is this about for me? What has it been about traditionally in the past? Many of the patterns we've repeated over and over. And think about that. So look back at your story for all of us. What has been my story with change? And then the third thing is, I want to encourage this for Jeannie and for everyone else that can relate to this stuff about change, the journey mindset, not a destination mindset. So it's really easy, like for you, Jeannie, for a long time, it's been all about the next goal, the next weight loss plateau, the next goal to reach, the next challenge to reach. The good news is that now that where you're at, it's really just, it's about the journey. And I really want to encourage you and others that are listening that if you have bumps in the road, that's really common for this journey. Like having times where you get a little off track. What I hear you saying is you haven't stopped going to the gym. That's amazing. You're here tonight talking about it. That's amazing. So if you can let these things be opportunities to learn about yourself, and you could push through the journey, even if the scale goes up a little bit during those times, it'll all even out as long as you stay with it. The only thing that can derail you totally is getting into isolation, getting into shame, getting out of community. That's the only thing that can derail you and allow all that stuff to come back. So, that's the third thing I want to just mention, that, I really encourage all of you guys that, the scale is important, but it's never as important as just staying on the journey and just staying in the game. And that's what you're doing. So keep doing that. Brian says this is just another huge step forward you're making. You're an amazing woman, Jeannie. Do you know Brian McMahon?
Yes.
Yeah. So he says you're amazing. Lisa Noakes says that's where I'm at right now too. So Lisa can relate to exactly where you're at right now. And she says, I am so proud of you, Jeannie. So like I said, you're getting lots of love right now. People are giving you all kinds of love on here. So yeah, what's that like to hear the feedback from people about what people are seeing about you?
One thing that's really affected me is when we do our way outs, and I post something on Facebook, and people say that I've inspired them, and that really means a lot to me, and that really keeps me going, because now I feel like I don't want to let anyone else. I don't want to let anyone down, but I'm not like letting that be pressure on me, but fuel to my fire, I guess you could say. Just something else to keep me motivated and to keep me going. Like I've had, a bunch of my friends have joined Fit Code since I've started, and, like just cheering them on and them asking for help, and, all that stuff is just, that's like, yeah, like fuel on the fire, icing on the cake. I mean, all those little cliche sayings, it just makes this worth it and makes me want to keep going, work harder. And I think that's part of the thing too. Like when I am feeling like I'm starting to like spiral a little bit out of control, I think about those people. I mean, I think about Shelton. I think about my coaches. I think like I can't let them. Like I don't want to let anybody down. Like Shelton's got a good program. I don't want to lose this weight and people know I lost the weight and then gain it back. And, it'd be a bad reflection on him or his gym. There's so many things that are helping to keep me going that I'm really thinking, even these changes, like, I feel like this gym is enough to get me through it. Like I said, I've lost the weight before and I've always gained it back, but I've never had this support system that I have, like from my family, from my friends, from the gym I go to. All the other gyms I went to, I'd walk in, nobody knew my name. Here, people know my name. It's like watching, old TV show Cheers, where everybody knows your name.
That's
It's nice.
awesome.
It's a good feeling. So,
Shelton,
although
yeah.
there's going to be change, I just think that, me making the change to fit code is also going to be what doesn't let the change affect me.
So if I'm hearing it right, though, for you, Jeannie, just even tonight, talking about that change is difficult and having the support tonight from Shelton and having the support from the community, like, and reminding you of how they see you, like that was kind of a difference maker in even how you're going through change right now, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I want to point that out because, again, guys, like this is on Facebook Live, but it doesn't have to be on Facebook Live. Like this can be happening on a text thread. This can be happening at the gym. This can be happening, this level of vulnerability that you're seeing right now from Jeannie, this courageous leadership that she's showing and being vulnerable. This is something that you guys can also follow the lead with too. I think it's so important. And so again, if you feel like you're struggling, a common thing, we talk about cliches, I'll say it a lot, but the monologues in our head when we're struggling are so much worse than the dialogues we have with someone that cares and loves us. When we have someone supporting us and actually talking through our struggles, we tend to find more hope and optimism than when we're just isolated in our minds about that. So again, I think that that's something we can all take away from today. When change happens, number one, it's common to feel thrown off. Most of us do. Number two, you want to kind of see the full perspective. It's easy to get short-term, problem-saturated tunnel vision and only see, oh my God, it's going to be this way forever. And that's where some of the food kind of comes in. And then, I think third, asking yourself, this is an opportunity to learn, let's learn about ourselves. And what's my backstory when it comes to this stuff? And that's more stuff that I think you can do in between now, and the rest of the summer is really kind of just learning about yourself and just staying plugged into the game. Shelton, but before, I know we're up against the end here, but before we end this, I've talked to other gym owners in the past when they've heard a gym member say something like you just heard from Jeannie, but I'm curious about your reaction to it. Like when you hear Jeannie say, I put a little pressure on myself to really do good by the gym. And I think of Shelton and I think of the gym and, what goes through your mind when you hear her say
I get a lot of emotions. So one, it's kind of, it feels good in a way that we've created a community that will support Jeannie, and she feels that support from others in the community. It makes me want to give more to make sure that everyone in the community can step out away from, that and be supportive of one another and help others in their journey, whether they've lost
that?
5, 50, or 100 pounds. And then also, I think, I also feel like, she shouldn't have to feel that pressure of, feeling like she's letting me down or letting the gym down. Um, you know, because, she isn't. She's going through her journey. She's going through that change. And, I'm proud of her regardless. I have that love for her regardless because, she is, someone that's always pushing forward. So, like it's a lot of emotions around that. So like I guess I don't want the pressure to lead to, more shame, because that could be a cycle, I think. And, so
Jeannie, I see you smiling. What's it like to hear that from Shelton?
Um, yeah, I mean, I, it's not like pressure. I don't want, I also don't want you to think that, like it's added pressure. It's just, it's me, just how I am, but, um, yeah, I mean, I couldn't ask Shelton or anyone at that gym to do any more for me. Everything, I mean, they've done everything. Now it's up to me. Um, any pressure I put on myself at this point is, myself and just, who I am and, you know, just how the kind of person I am. I just want to keep trying to do better and keep trying to improve and not go back. Definitely not go
Yeah,
back.
and I think like you're saying, that's going to happen no matter what Shelton says right now. But I just think it's so cool, and I know that you're smiling because you're probably feeling the same way. It's just so cool that you're able to have that moment that you just had right now with the owner of your gym, like like to be able to hear him just genuinely say that I care and I got unconditional love and support for you, regardless of what happens, and don't you dare for a minute start to feel ashamed, like so anyway, I think that's really cool, and I hope that's something that stays with you.
It will, for sure.
Yeah, 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 guys. I appreciate you both so much, and I think that even in our short time tonight, that it's clear because people are commenting in here. I think it seems like it was helpful, Jeannie, just for you in our short time to be able to talk about it. I know for Shelton, it probably was good just to be able to get a window into hearing that experience. And then for all of you guys that were listening and watching, it probably is validating to know you're not the only one. If change is hard, you're not the only one. And so many people, I'm sure, can relate to Jeannie's story. And so, again, guys, it's an opportunity to grow. Ray Dalio has a quote that I love, and it's the definition of growth, or excuse me, the equation of growth is pain plus reflection. So, in order to grow, we have to have pain, and we have to reflect on that pain. And this is exactly what we're doing right now. Jeannie's saying this is painful to have change and to see some of these old behaviors come back. But if we reflect on it, and I would add in community, like we're doing right now, we can grow from it. And so it's an opportunity to learn. Uh, you know, One of the things that can make it hard for us to learn is if we feel a lot of shame about that. And that's why I thought it was really cool today to be able to talk about it the way you did, Jeannie, but also to have Shelton be able to echo that and just say, look, there is no shame to be had in that. And like you said, how unique is that? How many people right now are in a gym community where everyone knows their name like Cheers, but the gym owner also is able to say what he just said to you? I just think that's really cool.
Definitely is.
Yeah. Well, the final thing too that I'm going to urge you specifically, Jeannie, is reach out to those people that the chances are everyone's feeling that, like that angst from not being in is working out as much together. Get your fit crew rallied up and get into a summer routine. I really hope you do.
I will.
Yeah. Yeah, Shelton, thank you so much for joining us today. How was this for you, man, to be able to participate in something like this?
it was great. It was outstanding. Great conversation, and gave me a lot of insights into things. So thank you, Dr. Mondo. Thank you, Jeannie. Appreciate both of
We'll
you.
do it. Yeah, yeah, we're gonna do this again. This was really fun. We'll definitely do it again. I thank both of you guys for joining me here on Office Hours, and yeah, so appreciate you guys. I'm gonna have you guys sign off now, and I'll say something to the rest of the crew here before we officially sign off. But again, thank you so much to Shelton and Jeannie for joining me here today on Office Hours, and uh, and just to kind of give you guys a little bit of a final thought and parting thoughts before we take off. Again, this is what it's all about: is having these really, these vulnerable conversations. That's what everything I'm doing here is all about: having vulnerable conversations. Because as Brene Brown says, vulnerability is the kryptonite to shame. And today, what you saw from Jeannie and what you saw from Shelton was the kryptonite to shame. They were having vulnerable, real, authentic, as the kids would say, 100 conversations. And as a result of that, I know that Jeannie's going to step away today, hopefully feeling more empowered about her journey. And I hope you do too from watching this. If you guys have never tuned in to any of the broadcasts on Dr. Mondo, make sure to like this page. What is this page? It's a page. I'm a therapist. I'm a researcher, and basically I'm dedicated because I've gone through it in my own life. I've lost the same 80 pounds 8 times or more. I've been through the journey. I understand what it's like. I know there's an emotional side to this. And what I found the keys to success is rewriting your story. So really making it about self-knowledge and rewriting your story, learning how to love yourself separate from the number on a scale, and how to stay with difficult patterns and move through difficult obstacles, and making the journey more about self-growth than making it about weight loss. That's what makes true success. So that's what this whole program is dedicated to. And we have different things that we do on the broadcast. And one of the things that we had on Tuesday night was an episode of Rewriting My Story. And if you guys haven't checked that show out, it's every Tuesday night we interview someone that's gone through a drastic weight loss transformation. And the transformation that we had this past week was from a guy named Leon Heredia. And Leon was actually here in my office doing the interview. It's had like 3,000 views, and for good reason. Leon's story is incredible. He lost 150 pounds, 100 pounds in 5 months, which is incredible. But he also, he was addicted to alcohol. He was addicted to drugs. He was addicted to food. He talked about eating 2 hot and ready pizzas in 7 minutes on a walk home. That's like impressive stuff. I'm sorry, like that. You have to step back and be like, how was that possible? This guy was doing that. And he turned all of that around. He detoxed on his own. It's an incredible story. So if you guys are looking for inspiration, go and you can watch the show that we had the other night, the Facebook Live, the Rewriting My Story with Leon. And you could hear he's now a plant-based chef, and he does meal delivery services in Sacramento. If any of you are looking for a chef, he's an amazing guy to be in your corner. He truly cares about you and your journey. And so anyway, check out Leon's story. This week, we will have a guy named Gary Stroller on. And Gary is, oh my gosh, unbelievable. 400 pounds at one point, and now he's running ultra marathons, and just an incredible story. And again, you know, we can show you these incredible before and after photos, like the one that you see of Leon here. And if we had Jeannie's, we would have showed you hers too, and you'd say, oh my God, how incredible. But there's a story behind the before and after photos. And that's why we have this broadcast, is to tell the untold stories behind the before and after photos. So again, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. If this was a broadcast that inspired you, feel free to share it. I'm a little verklemmed right now. I'm getting choked up, but I promise it's not from an emotional standpoint. It's just I'm a little choked up right now. I'm gonna get a quick swig of coffee. Thank you to Pachamama Coffee for providing the coffee every day, all day. You guys have a great weekend. We'll see you on Tuesday with an interview with Gary for more inspiration. Again, like, comment, share, wow, love, all that stuff. This is Dr. Mondo. We'll see you guys next time.